So before we jump into the episode, I just want to give a little background about myself. I am your host, Shay, and I am happily married to my husband, Daryl. He's currently in the Marine Corps, so I am a proud military spouse. I also have one son that is my one and only, and I love him dearly. My educational background is in healthcare management. I have a bachelor's of science in that, and I also have a master's of science in psychology. So I am always advocating for mental health and always looking for different topics on the mental health and wellness and, the whole aspect of just being healthy mentally, physically, emotionally. Also, I'm currently in school trying to obtain my licensure for the state of North Carolina to become a licensed professional counselor. So keep your girl encouraged, guys, as I embark on this journey. And one day we'll be a counselor. All right, let's get into the episode. Hey guys, welcome back to Pretty Girl Chronicles with Shay. Now, on this episode today, we're going to talk about child rearing. A recent episode came out on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, and there was some controversy around the way Corey, which is Kris, the mom's boyfriend, stated how he would parent Penelope in a certain situation. So I'm going to let you guys hear a little clip from that episode to kind of get a gist of what's going on. Here we go.
You guys, I don't have a nanny anymore.
What?
She said P was really upset. She was putting her in the car and Penelope scratched her face. But P can be out of control. I think she almost blacks out and does these wild things. But if you're a nanny, you also...
I've never had...
If a kid scratches, can you pop the kid and it's cool?
No, but you could also say something to her in the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you need to reach out to her and you need to say, I am so sorry.
This is so much more serious than I think you realize because I had 6 kids. Not one time in my entire life did anyone ever have a complaint like this. Ever.
I scratched you and I used to slap my nannies. Bam.
But we need to take care of this before it gets too far out of control.
There's nothing I could take away from her physically that she will care about. Mason I could take away. Whatever, he cares. Penelope does not care. Every kid is different.
I'm sorry, but if he scratched me for no reason, I'm whipping her ass, and I'll explain to y'all later.
What?
I would whip her ass.
You would whoop Penelope's ass if she scratched you?
I would give her a spanking for sure.
My daughter? What are you talking about?
Scratch me
You
in my
would whip
face.
my daughter's ass if she touched you?
No, scratch me.
You would whip my daughter's ass
Why not?
if she scratched you?
Why
A
not?
little 6-year-old girl?
That's
What the are you talking about?
That's the problem.
Stop it.
But that's the problem. But that's the problem.
You're not going to beat my little daughter.
Not beat.
I
would.
I don't think he's meaning
He just
beat
said
her.
it.
He does mean that. He does
You
mean
just
that.
said you would beat my daughter.
I said
if
whip.
She scratched you.
I said whip.
Okay, so as you guys could hear all of that, so let's kind of dissect this here. Kourtney started expressing how she's having some trouble with Penelope. Penelope scratched the nanny, and Kourtney expressed that Penelope's been having some behavioral issues, and there's really nothing she can do. She can't take anything away from her as far as toys or anything that are leisure to her because she does not care. Penelope doesn't care about those things, so it doesn't matter if you take it away from her. So Corey and Kris expressed that Kourtney needs to go ahead and get a handle on this quick because this can become a really big problem for Penelope in her behavior, and it's not acceptable. Corey goes to say, if Penelope scratched me, I'm going to whoop her A. And Scott, as you heard, was outraged. He went on to say, you're going to whoop my daughter's A? You're going to put your hands on my daughter? You're going to beat my daughter? And so forth. Now, Kourtney was like, he's not going to physically beat her. He's not going to do that. That's not what he meant. Okay. You know, if you're a parent, we have different techniques and ways of disciplining our children. So I'm going to speak for myself here in this scenario, just kind of analyzing both perspectives. When I was growing up, I was disciplined more so verbally than physical. I can't even remember at all getting a spanking. I actually didn't have behavioral issues until I became a teenager, from my memory and also from what my family told me. By that time, they didn't physically punish me. I may have went on a punishment as far as I can't go outside, I can't be on the phone, take away my leisure items. Now, I am a mother. I have one son. He hasn't given me too many behavioral problems, but if he does, I have used various techniques. I incorporated spankings from time to time if it got to a point where nothing else was working, and I would pop him. Pop him meaning nothing that's going to leave a bruise or a open wound on his body. Okay? And that was kind of a last resort. I never wanted to resort to spanking. And nothing against parents who do, because at the end of the day, until you become a parent, you are going to find out what techniques work for you. And of course, there is a line. If you're out here just beating your child black and blue, come on now, that's beyond spanking. You literally having a fight with your child. And that's not okay. But a spanking, a little pop here and there, that you're not physically leaving a mark on your child, physically bruising them, it's not going to kill them. Now, it all depends on your child, on how you discipline or whatever techniques work. Like Kourtney mentioned, she has 3 children? And this is the only one that's given her extreme problems. So she has to use a different technique. She cannot use the same technique she used on her last 2 children. Bottom line. So again, if you're seeing your child having these extreme behavioral issues, you're going to have to find another technique. Because something is not working that you're doing currently, and you need to do something about it. Because it is not okay when your child is physically harming somebody else. It's not okay. Now, I felt like this whole discussion was blown out of proportion between Scott and Corey. I'm going to go back to my African American culture or upbringing. Most of us are all accustomed to spankings, whoopings, as far as disciplinary actions growing up. And if somebody said, if your mom, dad, or a parent said, I'm going to whoop your A, you knew that you're going to get a spanking. Now, in your head, you're not going to be thinking like, oh my gosh, they're going to physically beat me until I'm black and blue. I'm going to need to be admitted into the hospital. And even if a bystander in the black community heard that, it wouldn't be extreme like that. The person would just think like, oh man, they about to get it. They about to get a spanking. So for Scott to act like that, we have to honor his feelings, because those are 2 different cultures coming together. And obviously the African American culture knows what Corey was saying. He wasn't saying he was going to beat Penelope until she was black and blue. However, Scott took it that way. And, from that perspective, he wasn't raised that way. He's from a different culture. They usually don't discipline in that manner. So he just took it out of proportion. Now, what I do suggest is that Scott and Corey learn or try to become multicultural and learn the way we express as far as discipline our children, and know that we're not saying we're going to literally beat our child to death. And Scott also needs to be open to be more sensitive or receptive to other cultures and how they speak and what they mean, so he don't have to overreact like this. Like, oh my gosh, you would think next step for him was to call the police. But, again, this is a very interesting topic, and I really want to touch base on it just because it was blown out of proportion. It ended up on the Shade Room, and this is a great discussion and dialogue. How do you parent? How do you parent? What is the right way? And what do you think on spankings and, child rearing? So, you guys leave me your thoughts, your concerns on this discussion. And if we need to further discuss or go more into detail with this, then we can do podcast part 2. All right? So, don't forget to like and share this podcast. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Stay pretty.